What's good, people? We're back, episode 21 to confirm. The man himself, I called him the Brighton legend. Also, some funny moments in your career. You now have hair, mate, which is a shock to me. I remember watching you for the whole of your career. Mr. Adam El-Abd, how are we, mate?
Yeah, very good. Thanks for having me on.
No worries, mate. No worries at all. I always like to ask the first question, where did it all begin?
Where did it all begin? Playing football in my back garden with my brothers. I was the middle of three, so my older brother was always bigger, stronger, and he was the one that used to, lead the way, kick lumps out of us. And my younger brother was always really big for his age, so he was almost pretty much equal to me, and it was almost like the competitive don't get beat by your younger brother. And we used to play out in the garden and have great memories. Started then it obviously played for your school team. We got scouted for the Albion, and back then it was like one day a week, Monday nights. And how it's changed now. Now they're in 4 days a week, and then they play on a Saturday or Sunday. It's mad. I mean, it's and that's why I think that the England team and the players have started to come through now, because of basically they're training more. In my day, from the age of 10 to 16, it was one hour and a half session a week, and the game on a Sunday, or Saturday morning. It's just not enough. It wasn't enough. Now they've upped the hours and they're bearing the fruits.
What was it like back then? Obviously, for Brighton, what were they at the same? I'm guessing they probably weren't at the same kind of academy standard that they are now in terms of categories.
No.
What was it like?
When I was 10, I was 9, went on trial, and it overlapped my 10th birthday. So signed when I was 10, but was on trial at 9. 6-week trial, got in, and we were given like a School of Excellence jumper. So everyone got a jumper, and that was a big deal back then, because it was the first time that the School of Excellence had been acknowledged by the club to be given some kit. Yeah. So we all had big jumpers that we were proud as punch to wear, But one jumper that you wore for the warm-up on the Sunday, and then you had to wash it and wear it again on the Monday.
Cool.
Nowadays, the guys are getting bags full of kit, sponsorship deals, Nike, Adidas, all the gear. Literally, they've got kit like the first team now, and it's incredible. Now it's a different league. Back then, Brighton had nothing. They had nothing. They had to sell the ground. It was in an era when they sold the ground, and the first team were playing at Priestfield at Gillingham. So to watch the first team, we had to go to Gillingham. And yeah, not the facilities was rented. It was a rented facility. Worthing Leisure Centre, like many lower league clubs, academies do rent facilities. So there's no problem there. But you know what? In those days, the conveyor belt and the production line was very, very good. Dean Wilkins took the under-18s, and Martin Hinchwood oversaw the whole academy. And between them, the two of them, alongside John Byrne, who took me, Colin Smart, Les Rogers, who were both the last mentioned, both passed away recently, actually. So God bless them. And really good setup there, And it just goes to show you don't always need the shiny tracksuits and the shiny goalposts and facilities. It's about the people that you work with, and the time invested in the youngsters, And I was fortunate enough to work with some really, really good coaches. And they helped me no end,
Do you think that when you were at that age, obviously 10, and then you go into school, did you think at that time, I'm going to be a professional footballer? Or was it, because I know it sounds quite stupid to say, but like I said, I speak to loads of people, and some people say generally, I was like, if I make it. But some people were obsessed at a young age. Was that you, I'm guessing? Yeah,
I was obsessed from the age of 10. It was all I wanted to be with professional football. I don't know why. I just loved playing. And it was like I used to watch, I think my first memory was 1990, Italia 90. England, Cameroon, I watched the whole tournament, but I remember England, Cameroon, like when Cameroon took the 2-1 lead in extra time, and then England I was on my hands and knees, literally in tears, like like unconsolable. You know, I was literally, and then when we scored, it was like we won like the best day of my life. Like genuinely, the emotion of watching that game. I was 6 years old, and I was. And then again in Euro 96 when I was I would have been 12. It was the same when obviously the whole tournament just grips you, you know, and it was like, I want to be a professional footballer. I wanted to do what those guys are doing. It was like literally they're my idols, you know, and I loved it. Like the emotion, it is just a game, but it is an emotional game, and I play it, and I was lucky enough to go on and play and do something that I loved for my whole career, you know, until I'm 36. That, you know, so I'm very 100%.
Lucky. Do you? And this is just a question that I've always questioned. You're just under 6 foot, aren't you? Is that or just?
Yeah. I'm not. I know. I'm actually. Do you know what? I'm 5 foot. 179 3/4. I'm not even 180 yet.
So would you?
I'm still growing. I hope.
Let's hope for us guys under 6 foot then.
Yeah.
Did you get that as a kid?
Pardon?
Did you get that as a kid? Kind of people saying, like, obviously centre back, centre half, defender. Did you ever get that? People kind of saying, "Well, you're not tall enough." Sorry, mate.
Not tall enough. You know, obviously growing up, I played striker to the age of 12, and then at 12 there was a shortage of centre half, so I played centre half, and I had the game of my life. Like I was like really good at 12 years old, you know. And then they thought, you know what, play there, and I did. And then at 16, it was like, oh, I'm not sure how big he's going to be, but maybe you can play right back or midfield. So I kind of dotted around. But in the youth team, it was predominantly either fullback or centre half.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I dotted around a bit. And then I spent until the age of about, I think the age of 25, to be honest, because I always got told, listen, you're not quite big enough to be a centre half.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was convinced I was a centre half, because where else was I going to play? Because I wasn't good enough to be a midfielder, really. I wasn't like, I'm not a gifted footballer. I wasn't quick enough to play fullback.
Yeah.
So really, where else am I going to, you know, I know I'm not quite big enough, but what I'll do is I'll work on my jump. I'll go into the gym and I'll get big quads, and I'll try and head the ball really well for somebody who's 5'11", or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was I become obsessed with it. And actually, do you know what? I didn't really I was always the filling guy. I was always playing left back, right back. If there's a injury to one of the first team, Adam's first person to fill in. You know, left back, right back, centre half, centre midfield. So I dotted around. And then it wasn't until Gus came in and he said, look, I don't care how big you are. If you read the game well and head the ball well, you can play centre half. And I'll judge you on your performances and not how big you are. I said, oh, listen, that's great. You know, I'll give you everything I can. And I responded well to that, because I think after about 10 or 15 games, I was playing left back, and he was happy with me there, but there was an injury. So he moved me in one, and I never looked back. I played centre half, and I continued to go. I went away in the summer, worked on my legs, because I thought, you know, I'm obsessed with it. I'm going to head the ball well. I want to be a centre half. That was it. I was, you know, and then I had that season where it kind of, I cemented my place as a centre half, and that was under Gus, and we ended up winning the league that year.
That was in League One. I was going to say, what was that like? Obviously, I think that was one of his very, very first jobs, if not his first job in management, or kind of being the main guy. What was that like, him coming down to, at the end of the day, it's Gus Poyet in League One? What was that?
It was like we'd had, you know, obviously I'd worked with some good managers before. First of all, Dean Wilkins was my under-18s manager, and he took us through, he ended up being the first team, and he was an exceptional coach, exceptional manager, and he's now playing straight at Stevenage. And since he's gone there, their results have improved so much. They've gone up the league, and he's doing, obviously, working his magic up there. I've worked with Mark McGee, Mickey Adams, all very good managers. Russell Slade then came in and helped us survive, but didn't last long until they employed Gus. And Gus, it was his first job. And Brighton hadn't had a big name like Gus. As a player, it was a big name. So everyone was kind of in awe of him, because it's like Gus Poyet, Chelsea legend, you know. He instantly demands your respect, because he brought Maurizio Taricco as well, another Tottenham Premier League player, you know. And instantly, when he walked in through the building, he had an impact. Not just because who he was, because his character. He was a strong character, dominant, took training, demanded standards, and basically didn't take any shit. Didn't take any shit.
Was that hard for the boys at that time? Do you think to take? Obviously, it's
when he first came in. I'm not going to mention any names, but when he first came in, there were some piss takers in the dressing room.
Mm.
Russell Slade had signed some players that he'd brought in that were taking the piss out of Russell Slade, because I think that Slade is a good guy, a really good guy, and he's a good manager. But I think that when you sign someone or sign a couple of players on big money and they become your big money signings, and then they're the ones that should be setting an example and setting the standards in training, setting the standards all around the club. When you've got people turning up late, turning up on the bus with Chinese takeaway because they don't like, and then they offer the manager some ribs. Do you want some ribs? And like the sort, and he's just been given a big contract by the club. And actually, do you know what? He was a really nice guy. I got on with him really well. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
But the manager, that would never happen to Gus, because he'd been slammed down to the point where if it happened, well, in fact, you wouldn't get another chance. If you did that with Gus, it'd be like, bang, done, out.
Is that because do you think, and I'm looking at it now from an outsider, is it because his standards as a player, do you think, were so high because he knew what it took to get to the highest level, and then bringing that down to, obviously, into management, that took over a bit?
I don't really know. I just think that he basically instantly, I think he weaned out the boys that, first of all, in training, he took his meeting first of all, and he said, right, you're going to enjoy training, but it's going to be hard. And then he watched the first 2 training sessions, and I think he saw that 1 or 2 go through the motions. So therefore, every Tuesday and Wednesday, because he structured the week, Sunday, Monday off every week. In Tuesday, Wednesday, and their hard sessions. And he structured it 4 teams, doing various keep balls, games, skill. He said, like, the losing team at the end of the day is going to run, and then the third place team is going to run a little bit less. Second place team a little bit less, and the winners can go in. So therefore, I mean, the runs were hard as well. It wasn't 1 or 2. No, it wasn't 1 or 2 runs. It was halfway line and back, between 6 and 10 times if you lose. So therefore, you do that once, you're going, the next day you're like, fuck this, I don't want to lose. And then the standard instantly goes up.
Yeah, cool.
Do you know what I mean? And then people start digging each other out in training, because hold on a minute, I don't want to lose. I'm not running at the end of this
because of you.
Run around because of you lazy bastard. Run around now. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so instantly, just from that one move alone, training, the competition in training went up. People were kicking each other and wanting to win. It was like a game. It was like a game, because the run was punishment. And then I think in the first opportunity, I think when he saw that some still weren't reaching the standards required that they wanted, they were out the door. They were out the door.
Do you think that helps having players? I'm thinking of that team at that time. I'm thinking players like yourself, other kind of big characters in the dressing room. Do you reckon if potentially he didn't necessarily have people like yourself, I class you as a proper pro, do you know what I mean? Do you think if he didn't have that maybe could have gone a bit south? Because if you had a whole dressing room full of...
No, but the thing is, in the dressing room, you always got a mix. You've always got a mix. I mean, I wasn't... there was lots of good pros. There was probably 3 or 4, 5, I wouldn't say bad professionals, but not professionals that would reach the standards, not in terms of quality, technique,
just
ability.
The standards of what you expect.
Standards of I'm going to train my maximum every day, and it's going to be like a game. And that's the way I'm going to try and improve myself and make everyone around me improve. Some people would for example, we didn't have GPS vests back then, but GPS, if everyone wore one, some would run 7-8K in training and someone would run 4. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So therefore, there was a big, and then eventually, when he got what he wanted, he took the stipulation away because everyone was training at. I mean, the 4 teams, he scrapped it because in the end, when he weaned out the ones that he wanted to wean out, training became too competitive. He had to calm it down. He said, right, no, okay, we're not running anymore.
Yeah.
But we've got the level that we want.
Let's keep it.
We keep that level. The punishment is not running because I don't want to. He didn't want to punish with running, but he needed to do something to basically spark the boys that weren't giving everything in training into life. So and it worked.
And what was that first season like in the Championship? Obviously, was it in the stadium, the Amex then? Was that?
Yeah. To be fair, I back in the League One campaign, I broke my foot. I had a really bad break in the navicular and spent 7 months out. So I missed the start of that. And the team was going well, and it was tough for me, really tough. But when I got back in the side, we were going well. And we narrowly missed out on the playoffs. We had a really terrible run in. I don't know whether that was down to fatigue or what. I don't know. But we played some good stuff that year. And throughout the whole era under Gus, we didn't ever bank up and play defensive football.
Yeah.
So we the goalkeeper had the ball, centre halves would split, would make the pitch big, and we'd try and dominate teams with the ball. And that's the way he played. That's the way he set us up, and we had a lot of success doing that. And it was enjoyable football to play. Enjoyable in the Championship, first season at the Amex. The second season, I think that was where we played our best football, or third season maybe. But the whole era was. He brought in some good players. He brought in some players that really, really upped the standards everywhere. Not only on the pitch for sure, off the pitch. It was a changing culture at the club. It brought in Bruno Salters, Vicente Rodriguez, David Lopez, Andrea Orlandi, Leonardo Ojoa. Players that obviously not English.
Yeah.
Players that technically were very, very good, and had just had a different. In England, it's funny because back then it's probably changed now. Back then, an English mentality, or even an English coach, even now today, it's all about how big, strong, and fit you are.
Yeah.
If you're going to be a good pro, I want you shredded to pieces.
I want you to be an athlete before anything else.
I want you to be an athlete. You're going to be an athlete, and you're going to get in the gym. You're going to pump weights, and you're going to run, and you're going to get fit. The Spanish boys will be like, "Why look in the gym? Yeah, do a bit of gym, but I'm out practicing my passing. I'm passing.
Yeah.
I'm doing my free kicks. I'm a footballer first. So therefore, they would see me in the gym and like lifting weights and would love coming and laugh. But Adam, like, mate, you need to get you out and practice on your touch, mate. He said, but they didn't say that, but that's what they were thinking. I know. And you know what? A bit of them rubbed off on me because I did. I was out there whacking balls against the blackboard, which is at the training ground there, for rebounds, trying to improve. Because to be honest, they humiliated the levels that I had technically. Because my level was technically limited, really. Got it and gave it to the good players for my job. Defend, stop it, give it to Vicente or David Lopez. You know what I mean? It's like that. So I was trying to improve my technical game because the bar had been raised.
No, definitely. What was it like when Gus obviously left and he wasn't there anymore? What was that transition like? Was that just before? Was it him that was in charge when you lost against Palace?
Yeah.
What was? Because I remember watching that game vividly, and I can still remember that Zaha goal. I don't know if it was you or someone he rolled.
I was on the bench that day. Unfortunately, I missed out the playoffs because I got suspended. I got suspended about 3 games to go, and with 10 yellow cards, and then didn't get back in the side because the boys kept clean sheet and done really well.
Yeah.
So it was Gordon and Matt Upson, Gordon Greer and Matt Upson. So, and the two boys, great players, so no complaints. It's, I was just a bit disappointed that I missed out on the playoffs, but
yeah,
it was what it is. It's life, I suppose. It was a life-changing moment. If we'd have reached the Premier League, I had a guaranteed 2-year extension because I'd reached the games quota.
Oh, okay.
So if we'd have reached the Premier League, it'd have been life-changing, in terms of finances, in terms of
definitely
them reaching your promised land as a aspiring professional that wants to get to the Premier League. It never quite happened. Became that close.
How was that like after that game? Because it was such a, obviously you were there watching it, but I remember watching it on TV. It was such a topsy-turvy game. Two quality, and I think one thing I always look back, because obviously I'm very, very local to Reading. So during that time I had a season ticket at Reading and I'd watch many games. And during that time in the Championship, I would say there's a good 8 teams in that league that could have got automatic promotion. Do you know what I mean? Like there was just so many.
But it's a bit like it is now. It's a bit the Championship's so competitive now. No, you look at it now. There is 8 teams that can get promoted. It's like that. Yeah.
And what was it like then when obviously Gus has left now, Oscar's in? How was that transition? Did they play? Obviously, I know they played similar type of football, but what was that like for the boys?
So Oscar came in, and he's an even bigger legend, really, on the playing. Well, I wouldn't say bigger legend. That's playing Gus a disservice. An equal legend on the pitch, Barcelona striker with Romario. An equal legend on the pitch, but different character around the training. Like he's different. Gus was so dominant, so inspiring. You walked in the room, he'd take a meeting, and by the end of it, you are like,
everything. Yeah,
I'm ready to play now. I'm up for this game, and I don't know how he did it. The way he spoke, mannerism. Oscar was a great guy and a nice guy, but didn't have the same charisma, aura. Even though when he joined in training, he was still ridiculously good. I mean, like seriously good. Like on a level that playing like Gus, you'd never give the ball away, and you could not run at all, but just to stand there and just not give the ball away. Like fair play. These guys are good players. That's next level where they got to. But I think that training was different. It was where Oscar had come from. I think the Barcelona academy training was very, very less intense. It'd gone from training being like a match intensity, the training being 50%.
Oh God!
And because in his way, you save yourself for the match, but Gus's way, you train like 100% every day, and you'll be ready for the game. I respond better to training hard because I'm brought up in the English mentality where
definitely
train hard, play hard. Do you know what I mean? On and off the pitch. You know what I mean? It's like that. Whereas he's very relaxed in training. It was kind of the foot off the pedal. I wouldn't, I'd say it was kind of like that. The same group of players, but wasn't being driven as much. But still, again, reached the playoffs and played some good stuff. But I would argue that it wasn't as good as the Gus era. But there's no right or wrong way.
No.
It's about results on the pitch, and he reached the playoffs. So you can't argue, because I've had some managers where they literally, you'll be walking around in training. It's like just doing shape work, and you feel underprepared. And then you go to a game, and in their mind, you're fresh. And other managers, it's tough. And then you breeze through games because you're so fit. Each player will tell you something different. Some people like to save themselves. Some people like to work hard. I like to work hard. That's how I was. But
was that
right or wrong way?
No, 100%. And you speak obviously two very not similar ways of playing, but a way of playing, but two different as men, shall we say? Two very different
characters. Yeah, different
characters. Like we've got at the moment in the Premier League, you've got Klopp and Guardiola. Standards very, very high, but you can see from how Klopp like I was from an outsider view, and I'll ask you the question as well. People always say Guardiola has a way of playing, and it's you're an athlete, you're a footballer. This is it. This is it. This is it. I look at Klopp on the outside, and from interviews that I've seen and past players speak about it, Klopp sees you as a person before a player, if that makes sense. And those two ideas on how to not just only treat players but train players. Do you think at the championship level, it's a little bit harder to do that, just with maybe the type of quality of player, or is that
No, because at Brighton at the time we had some top players. Matt Upson, Leo Joa, Vicente Rodriguez, David Lopez, Andrea Rolandi. We had Gordon Greer, Scottish international, Wayne Bridge, Bruno Salter.
Not bad players.
Do you know Kasengulu?
Yeah.
Wayne Bridge, England international. Matt Upson, England international. Bruno Salter played however many 100 games in La Liga for Valencia. David Lopez, Atletico Bilbao. Leo Joa won the League. You know what I mean? We had some quality at the club, real quality. Had the likes of Gary Dicker there. Gary Dicker was an exceptional footballer. Liam Bridcutt, exceptional footballer. So there was the dressing was very good, very good. And the standards in training were still very high. I just felt that the intensity had dropped.
Wasn't there?
And that's like a manager sets its own at a football club. You see, Klopp and Guardiola may have a different way to manage, but the intensity from both of those managers is there. They're intense. Like, genuinely, you can see it in their interviews afterwards. I mean, every day in training, I imagine that both of them are demand high standards. I mean, when Klopp first came into Liverpool, I think that everyone was either pulling their hamstring or complaining about little niggle because he upped the intensity in training.
Of course, yeah.
Training become tough, but then I think he came out and said they're going to suffer for the first couple of months, but after that we'll benefit. And he was right, because how many games last season did Liverpool seem like they were so much fitter than everyone else, so much fitter?
100%.
Like, and the word was intensity. They'd press and they would be relentless. You know, and even Guardiola, you know, different types of managing the player, but both of them are relentless in different ways. Liverpool with the intensity in the pressing and off the ball. Man City's the intensity that he demands when you've got the ball to move for each other and make angles for each other, you know. So
no doubt, mate. And I always look at, when I looked at your career, looking back on it, I always looked, obviously when you left Brighton and then went to Bristol City. How was that for you? Because you were at Brighton for was it 10 years or?
Yeah.
How was that? Obviously leaving. Did you know that you were going to be leaving Brighton, or how was that kind of that moment in your career?
No, it was a really tough time. Didn't go well for me. I was going through a lot off the pitch at the time, and that kind of filtered down through, and it ruined me. It ruined me because I ended up snapping in the dressing room, and me and Steve Cotterill fell out. But it really, he had every right to berate me because I wasn't playing well.
Yeah,
you know, he signed this player that was played so many championship games, and I was letting him down. So therefore, he had every right, and you know, and there were reasons behind that. I was not going for a good time and needed, you know, he dealt with me in the wrong way, but he was right.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining the way he dealt with me, but he could have dealt with me in a different way.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? And I didn't settle well. And then when you fall out with the manager in front of the dressing room, there was no going back from that. We didn't come to blows, but we almost came to blows. Where in the dressing room, where the manager was always going to
come out on top,
stand his ground, and I was out, and then I was out and there was no going back. I mean, I was out on loan to Bury. Went on loan to Bury, which was 5 hours away from my house in Brighton, because I couldn't move my family down to Bristol because I've been told that I'll never play for the club again.
Yeah.
So I went on loan to Bury, which was tough, but I ended up having a good time up there on the pitch, and got promoted. The next season, I thought that either I was going to sign for Bury or I was going to sign for another club. Never happened. So I went on loan to Swindon, where I got told that there was going to be a contract for me, and then the manager, that Martin Ling, resigned because of depression. He had depression, so the Luke Williams then decided that he didn't want to offer me the contract. So I went back to Bristol, and then signed for Gillingham for 3 months under Justin Edinburgh. God bless him. He's passed away as well, which is, and played 9 games for them, and actually did well, but ended up picking up niggly injuries, groin injuries, and so yes, I didn't play as much as I'd liked to them, and then that was the end of my Bristol City career because I'd been 2 years going out on loan. We made a deal for the last year, and I signed for Shrewsbury.
Is that hard for you, kind of, obviously what you're going through personally, obviously from being at Brighton, obviously like local club as well, that kind of around there, to then changing massively to another club? And I remember looking at the team. When you look at that team on paper, that Bristol City team, like some players I had there for League One, and how obviously that situation was dealt with at Bristol. Now looking back on it, obviously going into coaching yourself, has that made you actually take something from that, not just a negative, if that makes sense? How you would deal with the situation as a manager?
Yeah, I mean, it's made me realise, right, when players move clubs, I genuinely believe they shouldn't be put into the team straight away.
Okay.
I think that they should be given a period of time especially during the middle of the season. But obviously, it doesn't always work like that.
No, yeah, of course.
When you move in the off season, you have pre-season together with the boys. You've got 6 weeks. You can acclimatise. You can move your family, get your family settled, or you can move into a house so you're in the area. During the season, it's like sign on the Thursday, play on the Saturday. Don't even know the names of my new teammates.
Yeah.
I'm living in a hotel. I'm then travelling back to Brighton to see my missus and kids because they can't move down because they've got kids in school. I've got kids in school.
School, yeah.
Disaster. Should never sign a player. It's tough. In January, it's the worst time for a player to move. But to sign on a Thursday and play on a Saturday for a new team, when there's an awful lot of stress that goes involved with when you move clubs, it was like stressful, really stressful. I was deliberating in my mind, have I done the right thing? I was actually, do you know what? I was regretting driving down the motorway and asking to leave Brighton. I was regretting it when I was driving down to Bristol to sign the contract. I was like, I wish I could go back. I'm devastated.
Really?
Yeah, I'm devastated. Like I've just shot myself in the foot because of my hot head and.
Why wasn't going to go back.
Pardon?
Why were you released from Brighton, or did
no? I had 18 months left in my contract, and I signed 2 years under Oscar. He gave me a good contract, but when I signed, he made aware that I'd be third choice behind Matt and Gordon. So I said, okay, that's no problem. But when I wait for my chance, if I take it, I want to stay in the team.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, shake hands. I wouldn't have it any other way. Brilliant. So I wait till November. I get a chance, and I play well. Played 7 games. We kept 5 clean sheets. I think we went unbeaten. And I played very, very well in all the games.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as Gordon came back, he's in the team. So I said, do you know what? I didn't sign up for that. I was 29, and I want to play football. And I've waited since July, 1st of July, for a game of football, and I had to wait till November.
God.
I don't want to wait another 6 months.
No, of course.
So Bristol said that they were interested in me. Have made me aware that they were going to give me 3.5 years at 29. I had 18 months left at Brighton, and I wasn't playing. So that 18 months soon becomes a year. And if you haven't played very much in that year, you're then 30, and then they use that against yourself. I thought, do you know what? I'm going to get screwed here. I could find myself not playing much this season. Then they say, well, you're 30, so we'll give you a 1-year contract, or do you know what I mean? So I lost my call with Oscar and said, I want to leave. I'm sorry, but you've gone against, and I demanded to leave, which is completely the wrong thing to during the season. Wrong thing to do.
Yeah,
I lost my head, and again, hot-headed. Should have taken a deep breath and seeked advice, but the damage was done. That was it. I said I'm leaving, and then once I'm leaving, even if I don't want to leave.
Yeah,
I'm like that.
No,
I'm like that character. I'm stubborn, so it's like that. I'm that character. That's the mind made up, and I'm leaving to Bristol. And I was driving down to Bristol thinking, fucking hell, honestly, what have I done?
Can I go back?
Yeah, what have I done? No, but no, even if they offered me to come back, no.
You just wouldn't. It was that mindset.
Even if I wanted to, no.
Yeah.
Just, it's like that. I was like that, just headstrong, stubborn, bit of a dick, to be honest.
Was it hard? Was it hard for necessarily your family in that time? Because obviously, it is probably the first time in your career that you're not at home all the time.
Yeah.
You're obviously you're in Bristol, and then you're there. How many games was it? You said 13, and then bang, you're not. You've been told by obviously Steve Coach you're not going to play for the club again. How?
I think it was less than 13. But yeah, it might have been 13. Yeah. So
how?
13.
And then all that going on, people. I think. What's your take on when necessarily fans like I said, I've been the fan, I've been on the other side of it, watching, thinking, why is he not playing well, or why is that not happening, or this, that, and the other? Is that the one side of things that you wish fans maybe understood more? That you actually don't know, like, I'm a human being at the end of the day. I've got this issue. I'm not seeing my wife and children. Do you think that's one side of the game where you wish people
No, I'd never even been on loan. Right,
at Brighton. That's what I mean.
I've been at Brighton, so I travelled 15 minutes every day to training. In fact, 10 minutes to training, no more. 10 minutes, 15 minutes if it's to traffic, 15 minutes. And I woke up and I went for have a breakfast, and I'd leave at, I don't know, 9:15, get in for 9 o'clock. Easy. So then when I'm at Bristol, because I stayed down there a lot of the time, so I'm away from home, but often doing a 3.5 hour journey. And then as soon as when he told me that I wasn't going to play, I was doing that a lot on the day. So I was leaving at 5:30 in the morning, getting there at 8:30, rolling out the car, body in tatters because I spent 3 hours in the car, have some breakfast, train, and either stay down a night or drive back 3 hours. Do you know what I mean? So it's mad. So just completely not settled. Disaster, really. Nowadays they have people, player liaison officers, to help you settle. And I should have not played for a couple of weeks after signing there. I should have had, look, you get yourself settled, you train, meet the boys, get to know everyone, stay on the bench, and then come in when but the problem is Bristol were in the relegation zone, and it was like, shit, we need a bit of experience in there, so get him in. And my first game, I think I was having 4 hours sleep every day that night, every week. Sorry, every day that week leading up to my debut, because it was so stressful. I left on Brighton on the Monday, had to wait to sign for Bristol on the Thursday. Hadn't done any training, had 4 hours sleep, so I was stressing in my mind. Playing the game on Saturday, first game you want to make an impression, stinker. But then I should never have played. I should have gone, do you know what? But then that decision should have been taken out of my hands. The boss should have said, listen, you stressful week, signed, on the bench. I'm not going to bring you on. Couple of weeks to settle yourself in. But the situation was, you're in a relegation zone and they need to get you in and play.
Did you feel that you couldn't say that necessarily? Like, did you feel that...
As a footballer, you never, ever... I mean, I've never, even if I'm injured, I've played games with broken feet. I've had a broken foot against Wycombe away, and I was warming up and going, oh, God, I'm getting a sharp pain in my foot. And I was literally couldn't run. But I had the whole warm-up to say, I don't think I can play.
Yeah.
Before you know it, because I couldn't admit to myself I was injured, the game started. And I'm literally hobbling around. I'm literally wincing. I couldn't sprint, couldn't run. And I played the whole game in agony, gritting my teeth, broken foot. Luckily, on the day, Wycombe were terrible and we won the game.
Yeah.
And I didn't even need to run because, like, I wasn't really tested to a point. But the whole game was agony. At the end of the game, I said, I've got a real bad pain in my foot. Doc, can you have a look at it? He went, X-ray, broken foot, out 6 to 8 weeks. I was like, shit, why have I played the whole game? The whole game with a broken foot.
Yeah.
Because I was like, shit, I don't want to admit that I'm injured. So therefore I hide it and I'll go through it. It's not just a pain, it'll go. And it's like that. If you're given the choice, player to play or not play, 4 hours sleep every night that week.
Of course, yeah.
I'm still going to play because I want to play. But that decision should be taken at your hands. People should realise, like you say, that experience for me is a valuable experience that I will take if I ever get the chance to coach or manage, because I know how I reacted to that. And people should get time to bed in, settle down, meet your teammates, couple of weeks training, get settled in your place, and you're ready to go.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean?
I think, like you said, just to finish on that point, I think it's obviously, I'd probably say even now with some of the big transfers and some of the big wages that are flowing around in League One and above and abroad and stuff, especially in the Premier League, I think sometimes, I think we've all done it as fans and looked, why is he not playing? Like, he's fit, he's this, he's that, all this stuff. And it's like, maybe as a club, they're thinking he needs to play. We've just spent X, Y, Z on him. He needs to play. And I think, like you said, it's that fine line. But how was it? Obviously, you finally left Bristol City now. Was it at Wycombe or did you go to Stevenage first?
No, I left to Shrewsbury.
Shrewsbury, yes. How was that moment for you, being there?
And I moved my family up. Wife and kids, moved them up. And it wasn't a great season. In fact, it was a disaster. Mickey Mellon, because the board had decided to back him with money, and he signed 12 players, 12 new players in the dressing room, no cohesion, no team spirit. Didn't have a night out at the start of the season in pre-season.
No.
No, that helps, huh? A night out helps people.
Oh yeah,
relax,
massively, yeah.
Go out and drink.
Have a couple of beers, yeah.
Not a couple, go and have 10, and then have all be laughing on the Monday. Team spirit,
What happened? Yeah.
The best team, the Leicester team that went up in the Championship and won the Premier League, they used to drink a lot. I've seen him in Dublin, and they used to go out and drink together all the time. Because lads will go out and drink if they either do it at home or they do it with their mates.
Oh God, yeah.
It's better that they do it all together. Creating team spirit. You're coming in, you're laughing about the stories, and it makes you want to go that extra mile for each other on the pitch. Didn't have any team spirit. Mickey Mellon, we started off first 6 games. I think we drew 3, lost 3, so it didn't start very well. He ended up resigning or got sacked. New manager came in, and he wanted half the dressing room out.
Cool.
And instantly I knew that he wanted me out, like when he shook my hand to say hello. How
many years did you sign at Shrewsbury?
I signed 2 years, just moved my family up, and then after 3 months, it was apparent that I'm not going to even see out the year. And then I started to play when he was in charge. I started to play very well, and then at the first chance, I got a suspension or injured. It pulled my calf, out for a couple of weeks. Didn't get back in for the rest of the season.
Jesus.
So, and I knew it. I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Because he brought in his mate. He brought in, in fact, out of the 24 in the squad, I think only 2 survived. 22 out of the 24. God, 11 and 11. So 11 in January and then 11 in the season. I was one of the ones at the end of the season. So that's football, though. He had his way, and for boys he wanted to bring in, and that's sort of no gripes about that. I then went from there, moved the family back down to Brighton, and went to sign for Wycombe.
Was that your main thing now, just to get a bit of stability back in your family's life?
Back home, Wycombe was a commutable distance, but they had a clubhouse where I could stay over whenever I wanted.
Oh, great.
Wife and kids back home settled. I then found home again, because Wycombe was home for me for 2 years. And it was the first place since Brighton where I'd actually felt, this is me. I feel at home here. And even though it was in League Two and didn't have, again, all the facilities that some of the bigger clubs have, but it had good people around, I
was going to say, we speak about this whole, what we've kind of discussed, obviously, with all your time at end at Brighton, at Shrewsbury, Bristol City. And I've got down here, obviously, I really wanted to ask, no matter how I look at them now, or back then, Wycombe in League Two, and you say, funnily enough, how you felt like it was home. And I look at 2 things that majorly potentially would have that impact. One being communication, but one being the manager. How vital was the success and your happiness at Wycombe down to the communication from him and the actual manager himself?
I think it was just the whole environment at the football club was good. But him and Dobbo created along with Andrew Howard, the chairman, created a brilliant culture at the football club, where he didn't bring in anyone that wasn't going to do things right.
Mm-hmm.
There was the training was to a level where, very, very high. Everyone ran around, and he was actually having to curb everyone a little bit.
Yeah.
Say it was like that. And then you had some really good senior pros. You had Adebayo Akinfenwa, big character, Craig McKell-Smith, Sam Saunders, Marcus Bean, Matt Bloomfield, probably one of the best professionals I've ever worked with. Nathan Tyson. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to think if I've missed anyone there. And we played one game against Lincoln in the run into the League Two promotion, and we drew 0-0 at their place. And I think it was one of the oldest teams on record to have ever played in the football league. We had Joe Jacobson, of course. Joe Jacobson, but he's not really. We didn't class him as old because he was only 32. Yeah. We had Joe Jacobson, who's now, I think he's 34 or 34. But he was 32 at the time. I was 34. Sam Saunders, 35. Craig McKell-Smith, 36. Bayo, 36, 37. Nathan Tyson, 38. Who did I say? Sam Saunders and Marcus Bean, who was 35. Bean, but therefore, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players in 32 and up. 32 was the young one. It was 32 to 38.
Yeah.
One of the oldest teams. But we got a draw away at Lincoln, who were flying at the time. Big Matt Reed up front, really good at the back. We drew 0-0 and ended up going on and getting promoted, which was a great achievement for the club. And with that group of boys, it was a really really great experience, because we knew that it was probably going to be our last taste of success, really.
No, 100%. And do you think that's, looking back now, are you surprised at where Wycombe have got to now? Or do you?
I think everyone was surprised that they got promoted. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
I think that there were many games in League One where they, in that season, snatched wins when they shouldn't have won, and they had that season where it went for them. They had an incredible season.
Mm-hmm.
There were some really big teams in that League One to get promoted, and to get promoted, they've done incredible. But having now been promoted, which Wycombe really didn't have any right to get promoted.
No,
club size.
Yeah, of course.
It goes to show what a tight knit group that was, and everyone was pulling in the right direction. It's from the top to the bottom. It was a great club, great time to be the club, and a great time for the club. Obviously, I wasn't there for that season. I left 2 games in, went to Stevenage, and it was a big regret again, because I wish I'd stayed, because what a season I had, So
no doubt at all, mate. One thing will ask just before we do our quick questions: how have you kind of found the transition? Obviously, coming now towards the back end of your career, how has that been for you? Settling and coming to terms with that, and knowing what you want to do next.
It's tough, really tough, and I don't think there's enough support really for the pros that have been in the game so long, and there should be more. I'll be honest, I'm still finding what I want to do. Nothing's gonna come close to playing football, and that's the thing. That first of all, in lifestyle, in job satisfaction, in the way you feel day to day, you feel like $1 million when you're on top and you're feeling good. The buzz of winning on a match day, waking up on a Sunday, your body aching, but it's a great feeling because you've achieved something. Having a goal to work towards every week. On a Monday, you sit down, meeting, debrief, then you go on to how you're going to attack that week in terms of training and game. I don't, and then on top of that, the lifestyle it gives you, because it pays well, even in the lower leagues compared to what an average salary is in the UK. You earn good money. It's and everything about it to come close to that is going to be so tough. But yeah, it's not an easy thing. But I am, now I'm coming to terms that I haven't played professional football for over a year, and I miss professional football.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say I necessarily miss non-league football, and I don't say that like easily. It's just for me, it's non-league football, training on a Tuesday and Thursday night when the boys have come in from work, and
it's not the same.
It's not the same. No. It's not the same.
100%, mate. Like I said, I'd like to always end with some quick fire questions. I'm going to put you on the spot, mate, so no pressure. Best goal you've ever scored? There's not many, but
not many. There's only, I think, 12.
So, give or take.
It's got to be the one at Shrewsbury against Southend.
No doubt, mate.
I should have had this ready to show you. I knew you were going to ask this. I'm going to here you go, look, check it out. Top bin.
Best player you ever played with?
Mo Salah, but I'm going to say there was many at the Brighton team. I think Vicente was up there. There was many. I think Mo Salah, of course. Mo Salah.
And just on that, how good was he?
Phenomenally good. Obviously, before he burst onto the scene, and he was like 19, 20 years old, and he was finishing every session, and he'd bag 5 or 6 goals, and you're thinking, Jesus Christ, is he that good, or am I? I mean, how good is he, and how good is he going to be? And he's gone on to prove that, he's special player. Literally just score goals like every session, every for fun. Every session would walk away with at least 5 goals. Jeez. Genuinely, like you do 3 teams at the end of the session, and you score 5 goals. So that's to score 1 goal is or 2 goals is amazing. But every session, every day, he'd come in 5. So fair play. It's good. What a play.
Proudest moment in football?
I think this is a good question. One that I've not really given much thought of. Really, been quite a few. First of all, representing Egypt, real big honour, and I was very proud to do that. I would say making my debut at the Amex, having been a Brighton boy and playing in that game was special to me because it had been in the making for a good probably 13, 14 years. Stadium talk, and then as an academy player at 12, then making my debut there at 27, so 16 years, even 15 years. Sorry, math's not very good.
Funniest. Go on, Karen, mate.
And then the League One campaign, we won the league. Very proud to be part of that team because we played in the right way. And then obviously at Wycombe when we got promoted, it was really, really an amazing achievement for that group of players, and all special moments. So yeah.
Best player you've ever played against?
There were, again, many, and I'm probably going to forget. I've forgotten so many players. There's
sticks out, not necessarily like a Ronaldo or anyone like that. Or have you ever played in a game and thought he's absolutely done me there the whole game?
Many times. No. Do you know what? There was lots of good players. Ricky Lambert was a good player. Adam El-Abd was a good player. The Brighton v Southampton, when that rivalry was going on because we were both fighting for the title, they had a good team. Lallana, Lambert, Morgan Schneidlin, Dean Hammond, Jose Font. They had a very good team. But internationally, I think Alexis Sanchez and Vidal, when I played against Chile, were special players, special players.
Funniest person in football?
There's been many. To say one is tough. There's lots of characters. To be fair, there's a couple in my non-league dressing room now. Is
okay.
a couple of good characters in there that make you laugh. There's a couple of very funny ones. To be fair, Andy Mangan deserves a mention. What a character!
Yeah. Oh, no doubt,
I think he's Joey Barton's assistant actually at Bristol Rovers.
Yeah.
He's a funny guy. Like typical Scouser, like funny.
And my last question, mate, I like to ask everyone, what do you want to be remembered for when you've finished coaching or everything? What do you want to be remembered for?
I don't know. It's a good question. I don't really know. Somebody who gave his all, a player who gave his all and made the most of his ability, really, because everyone knows I wasn't the most talented player, but when I played, I played and gave everything for the shirt that I was representing, you know.
No, mate, no doubt. That's it, mate. I'm all out of questions. I'm all out of everything. Right. But yes, guys, make sure you like and subscribe. Comment on who you want to see on the next episode. And yeah, mate, it's been an absolute privilege. Thanks for coming on.
Joe, nice to meet you. Top man for having me on. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers, pal.